Hello again. I hope you're all doing well wherever you are on this great planet. As you can see, my set designer has put some things up for your viewing pleasure, and hopefully that makes for a nicer viewing experience. You may remember some time ago, depending on how many of my videos you've watched, I made a video on very high velocity guns or a particular rifle. And a fellow by the name of Will Branson, I hope I remember his name right, wrote me, and he had a most excellent comment. And his comment was that I shouldn't forget scientific method, that whatever I do has to be repeatable. So it's interesting if I can do something, but in order for that to be meaningful, you should be able to do the same thing and have the same results. And of course everybody knows that's scientific method. And why am I bringing that up? Because we all watch these videos, and what I'm actually going to be making this video about has nothing to do directly with scientific method. But here's something worth reflecting on. If you go to the range and somebody has whatever rifle, Remington 700 or whatever it is, and they make a video and they shoot the rifle and they set up the dual or triple cameras, and you can see the bullets going in the target, you know, all the hard work I don't do, and then the conclusion is this is a great rifle and you have to go and buy one because it's accurate. Well, I agree with Will. I went to university and I bought lots of guns, as you know, and I see somebody shooting and all the bullets go in one hole, or maybe the bullets don't hit anywhere near one another, and my conclusion is, well, that's your gun, and that's your gun in your hands. How it actually, as a whole, functions, even with the repeatability of mass production, it doesn't necessarily mean all that much. And so I'm not really affected by videos where people take a particular firearm and shoot really well or really badly. The one I buy may be fantastic, and I also don't pay too much attention to price. Past a point, firearms are very much the same. The adornment, the checkering, the engraving, quality of wood or lack of wood, or synthetic stocks, or who knows what all, that's interesting, and maybe that's why we buy different guns. But the actual inherent accuracy is an item by item, like one by one. Hand loading can change things too, as we all know. Anyway, I thought I'd mention that because what I have to share with you today is a perfect example of where what I concluded isn't necessarily what you'll conclude. But here's the cool story. I decided I would go to the range and take just a bunch of 22 Magnums, and I would make one of these videos and conclude which one's the most accurate, and then people, I guess, rush out and buy that gun. Not that that means that that gun is going to be accurate for them. It was just accurate for me. And the production line was maybe working well that day, or countless variables. But anyway, guns get reputations because I guess many buyers report the same results, and I don't discount that, so that's fine. And that's sort of toward scientific method. Anyway, Will, thanks so much for those notes that you sent me, and I'm well aware of what you're saying. So anyway, I went with all my 22 Magnums. I don't have them all on the table, but I thought I would disclose to you my most accurate, or as people would say on YouTube, the most accurate 22 Magnum. So I had like a $1,500 Anschutz model something. I had the CZ, which is on the table, and a bunch of others. I had newer CZ, which wasn't quite as expensive. Somehow I got a hold of a Walther and just set up targets, and I was fair to all the guns. I used the same scope, which is a pain, moving them from one to another just so that the scope wouldn't be a variable. But Will, you're right, there's no science at home with all of these people running and shooting guns at the range, or shooting these things, which I don't shoot. And anyway, the result here is really cool. So this is an Anschutz. This is not the 22 Magnum, but it's a similar rifle. So what happens is I get so many, and then people see them, and then they like them, and then so my friends, I think I traded the 22 Magnum away, but it looked almost identical to this one. And this is an Anschutz, and I mean these are used, well, not this exact rifle, but the biathlon version and other versions. They use them in the Olympics and so on, the Fortner action. This company has a reputation for extraordinary accuracy. And this gun, even as beaten up as it is, take a look at this. I'll show you some Bubba work here. Somebody put a Ruger banded front sight on this barrel, and actually it looks not too bad. And I guess that's close to the original factory sight. They had to get it higher because of the front being so high. Anyhow, so I had the Anschutz, and I just put these on the table to sort of be an example. This one is, this was there that day. Wonderful, probably one of the most high quality 22 semi-autos you can get, and this is the 22 Magnum version. I have a 22 long rifle version. I have a 17 HMR version, and it's not easy to get a 17 HMR semi-auto working, but CZ did. And you know, you can take them apart with the typical coin screw. Just wonderfully machined. Again, it's hard for me to express how well this semi-auto handles, and I can tell you this one shot as well as my Anschutz, and this is semi-auto, so that's significant. And I mean unexpected, but again, that was in my hands on that day with those wind conditions and those heat conditions and all of the variables that make almost all gun testing videos in a way irrelevant. You're just watching somebody shoot a gun. But we're very quickly reaching the conclusion, which you may have already guessed from what's on the table. What is the most accurate of all these thousands of dollars of guns traveling across oceans to get here, in the case of the Anschutz from Germany and the CZ from the Czech Republic? The Mossberg Chuckster. You can see the Weaver bases. It's an unusual kind of action. It's very long, and the whole thing is kind of, well, this is not a $1,500 gun. This gun cost me, I think it cost me $100, maybe a little more. I put the same scope on, and this is a 22 Magnum, and for whatever reason, this one at 100 yards has the smallest groups over and over again, and the checkering, well, there is no checkering. It's just an impressed pattern, some kind of heat process they used. What does it say on the barrel? Mossberg and Sons Inc. Yeah, Chuckster. So there it is. The most accurate 22 Magnum cost you like a tank of gas, and it didn't just shoot that way once. It was over and over. And this one even has some holes drilled in it for somebody's receiver sight. As I told you, I usually buy used guns. And so was I expecting that outcome, or can I say that the Chuckster's always going to be the most accurate? Hard to say, but if you use the logic of people out there, that's what they would say. All I can assure you is this gun, doesn't matter what the price is a remarkable 22 Magnum. And if you see them used and you get one that's something like mine, the trigger's not too bad after a little bit of creep, or maybe somebody worked on this, I don't know, because it's a you know, it's a used gun. Anyhow, so that's the Mossberg Chuckster. And then I took this Savage Model 340 out because it's not a 22 Magnum, obviously. It's a 30-30. But here's another example. I have quite a few 30-30s. I even have a couple of other bolt action 30-30s. And one is in a Lee action. I think this is also worth a tank of gas, or maybe two. And this is easily my most accurate 30-30. It's undressed right now. I just left iron sights and so forth. And look at all the rules that are violated here. It's got a barrel band, whoops, screwed through here with this screw. I'm sure that's factory. or I'm pretty sure it's factory. And it has one locking lug. It doesn't have two locking lugs. It violates the $800 rule. It doesn't cost $800. The trigger is kind of creepy, but if you take up that slack and then get used to that, you can predict where it's going to let off. It's got a solid magazine. I don't know why they stopped making them. Look at the floor plate, it's just sheet metal. I guess what I'm trying to say to you is you don't have to spend a fortune to have extremely accurate weapons. And maybe this isn't, you know, going to go in a museum or anything, but that's not the point. This is a fantastic 30-30. I'd hunt with it any day, and it's the carbine version, so it's short, it's quick, and you have to put a side mount on it, but that's not an issue. Actually, I have another one, and it shoots the same. I have no idea why it's so accurate, but both of mine are, and if you would have to buy and try on your own. So kind of a little bit of a theme, I guess, and this Chuckster, what a shockingly accurate rifle, and all that accomplished, I suppose, by the quality of the barrel and the rifling and a bunch of variables that we'll never know. Hand loading will never enter the equation with a rimfire round, so you just buy that box of ammo, take your Chuckster, and the bullets go one after another, and there it is. So I hope you enjoyed that video, a little bit of reflection on scientific method there, which I think is good, and it was all because of Will Branson and his urging me to talk about that. So one gun in a production line is just one gun in a production line. In a lot of ways, you make your gun accurate by how well you shoot. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you again next time.